Hello, future leaders. This is Barrett Matthews of the Network Academy. Today we're going to talk about something that's very vital to your business, and that's your opportunity meeting or your orientation meeting and the kitchen table appointment. These are very important pieces of your business. First, we're going to talk about the opportunity meeting. This is where you invite guests to come out and learn about your business. This is where guests are going to be curious about things that you're going to be saying and curious about what they're going to do with their future. You have to show them that you're the leader to take them in the right direction. Now, I want you to focus on one thing here. That person that's sitting in front of you, in front of the room, that's going to be listening to your orientation, is not the person that you're going for. You're going for their market. They have a vital market that can take you to exponential growth. But you need to key in on that person to make them feel that they can achieve that. Because here's the thing, folks. You have to understand one thing about network marketing. People quit. People quit. It's a fact of the business. You don't know that that person's going to quit. That person may be that key person that you need, because as the saying goes, you need 7 to 10 key people to take your business to the next level. You may be looking at that key person, but that key person may be 3 or 4 generations down the line. But you need to make that person feel that they are that one, so they can take you to that market, and maybe you can get to that person who is going to be one of those key people. So the first thing we need to do is focus on when they come to your orientation. You need to be there to greet them. You need to be there to let them know that, hey, you know what, I got a great leader in front of me. Because what that does is it lends credibility to you. People need to see that you're a credible person. They need to see that you're someone that can take them to that next level. Now, it helps if you are someone on that office management team. If you are that person that is at the door to greet them, if you're one of the people to help them sign in, if you're one of the people to help them get seated, to make them feel comfortable, to introduce, or even do the presentation yourself, that helps you with your credibility. Now, the other thing that you need to do, and if you can, sit with them. Sit with them when they're listening to the orientation. What does that do? It shows them that you care. I know me, if I'm sitting next to someone who's at an orientation and they're looking at me and they're right next to me, they're going to feel, wow, this person cares about me enough to spend time with me. That's going to be vital, because what's going to happen is if they feel that they're left alone, they're feeling that, well, I'm one of the herd. I'm just one of the people in the group. You don't want them to feel that way. You want them to feel that they are special. So you want to make sure that they are listening and that they are paying attention. You don't want to spend time talking to them while the presenter is presenting. That's very bad, because while you're doing that, you're distracting them from what they need to hear. What you want to do is just make sure that you're with them so that they understand that you care about them. Now, once the orientation's over, they're going to have questions. You're going to have to answer those questions. Now, here's the key. I don't want you to sit down and do a Q&A right after the orientation. That is not a good thing to do, because if you start a Q&A right there, that could last all night long. You don't want to do that. What you want to do is schedule an appointment. Now, what is that appointment going to be doing? It's going to be setting up your interview. Because here's the thing. The biggest mistake that a lot of people make in network marketing is when the people come in, after they sit through the orientation, of course they're going to have questions about your business. Of course. But one of the biggest mistakes that people make is that they want to sit down and answer every single question with that person, but they don't know if that person is the right one for their business. You have to understand, this is your business. Would you just bring in anyone to your business? No. You want to make sure you bring in the right person, that quality person, that person that's going to add something to your business, not someone who's just going to drag you and ask questions. You know, you have people who are trainable and you have people who are drainable. You want people who are trainable. You want those coachable people that are going to add something to your business, who can actually be a duplicate of you. So what you're going to do is you want to sit down with them. You want to schedule a time to sit down with them and do a one-on-one interview with them. Now, they're going to ask you questions. Of course, they're going to have plenty of questions. That's why at the opportunity meeting, you want to have them to go home, write down all their questions, so when they meet with you, you can have all their questions answered at one time. Now, in doing so, you need to have questions to ask them. You need to make sure that you are asking them questions like, why is it that you think you'd be a good fit for this business? What is it that you have to bring? What are your assets? What is it that you think you can do in this business? Are you looking for management? Are you looking to recruit and train other people? What kind of income goals do you have? You need to be able to ask them these questions and feel solid about that, because this is your business. You cannot put the wrong person into your business. Someone says that you can't say the wrong thing to the right person, but you got to make sure that you have the right person. You need to make sure that those people that you're bringing in, that you're sitting down with, spending time with, are for you. And I'm going to tell you something that's going to be hard to hear. Sometimes you're going to have to tell people, I'm sorry, I don't think this is going to be a good fit for you. Because everybody is not cut out for it. Everybody is not you. Everybody is not as strong, as powerful as you are. You need to make sure that you find someone who's going to be another you. Is that hard? You betcha. It's going to be extremely hard to find that person. But you need to know that. You need to know that going into it, and understand it's going to be like finding a needle in a haystack, because you're special. That's why you're here. So you need to find someone who's as special as you are, or who at least has the drive and determination to be special. I'm a firm believer that, there's no such thing as a born leader. I just never believed that. I believe that everyone has leadership qualities, but leadership has to be developed. If you find someone who wants to develop those leadership qualities, that's a good person. If they're coachable and they're willing to listen, that's great. But if they're not, if there's someone who comes to you saying, well, I like what you're doing, but I'm thinking about doing this business, but, or I'll give it a shot, but, you don't need those people. If they're still teetering on the fence as to whether they think your opportunity is great, then they don't see what you see. You need someone who sees what you see. So that's one of the main things you want to look at when you're dealing with someone after your opportunity meeting. Now, another thing you want to do is you want to make sure that, as I said, you want to schedule that one-on-one meeting. Here's another reason why. If you got 20 people in the room, and you have one person that has a question, and you start going into a Q&A with them, guess what? The next person's going to have a question. Then the next person. Then someone is going to ask that question that all the other ones weren't thinking about, and it will turn them off from your opportunity. You don't want that. You want to make sure you spend one-on-one time with that person who is excited about the business. You want to spend one-on-one time. And here's the other thing you have to understand. They came to interview for a position. Well, if you just sign everybody up who says, yeah, I'm interested, without spending time to interview them, you don't know if they're the right person, and they don't respect your business, because you told them they were coming to interview and you never interviewed them. They interviewed you because they asked you all the questions. That's not good. If they're interviewing you, then you're the one looking for a position, not them. You want to make them understand that you're in control, and this is how the situation goes. At the end, we don't sit down and do a Q&A. We schedule a time to meet with you one-on-one so we can answer all your questions for you. What I want you to do is go home, write down all your questions, and we can meet. I have this time available or this time available. Which time works for you? Doesn't that sound a lot better? Doesn't that sound like you're in control if you say that to someone? Does to me. So we're going to move on and go from getting that person from that appointment to that one-on-one interview. Now, once you sit down with them, what you want to do is make sure that you understand that this person is coming here still with questions. They still have some reservations, but they have an interest. That's good. Some people are afraid of people who have questions. I always say, no one asks questions about something they're not interested in. So feel good about that. The more questions, the better. The thing is, you need to have the answers. You need to have answers. You need to know your business. If you do not know your business, when you do that meeting with them, you need to have your upline or someone in business who knows those answers, so you don't look like someone who doesn't understand what's going on. You need to make sure you have someone who's competent, who can answer those questions, and also who's confident in answering those questions. Now, here's what's going to happen. You're going to sit down with that person. They're going to still, be a little nervous, because they're going to wonder what's going on. And the thing is, you need to exude confidence. You need to let them know, okay, here, sit down. We're going to go over this. We're going to go over that. But you need to make sure that you answer their questions and they answer your questions. Now, it really doesn't matter which order you do it in as to whether you want to let them ask questions first or you ask questions first. But the thing is, you need to make sure that it's an even split, that you ask questions and they ask questions. Because if they're the only ones asking questions, they're going to think that, one, you're not interested in them. And they're going to think that, well, they're in control of this situation if they're the only ones asking questions. Think about it. When you go into an interview and the interviewer is asking you questions, you feel they're in control. It's kind of like an interrogation, so to speak. So you want to make sure that you are in control of that situation. So you ask the questions and you give them the opportunity to ask their questions as well. But once again, make sure you have answers to those questions. If you do not have the answers, and keep in mind, most time businesses will people will ask the same questions over and over again. They're going to ask about how they can make money or how soon they can make money. If you have to get a license, they're going to ask about how the licensing process goes. They're going to ask about whether you supply them with leads or whether they have to get their own leads and how do they continue that going. Those are usually the main questions people are going to ask. So what you may want to do is address those before they come up. Address those issues with them. So then they feel comfortable with that, because a lot of times when you do that, a lot of people, when you ask someone, what other questions do you have, they may say, well, you know what, you've answered them all for me. And when you've answered someone's question before they can ask it, they feel a lot more confident. They feel more comfortable with you because they feel, wow, this person opened up to me. They told me everything I needed to know. I want to join with them because I can trust this person. So when you get that trust, then you can move on to the next step. Now, what you want to do at that point, you want to make them a client. Whatever your product or your service is, you want to make your recruit a client. Why? Because it goes back to this again, credibility. Don't you want someone in business with you who believes in your product? Yeah, you should. Because if they don't believe in your product, what good are they going to do for the business? They have to believe. They have to understand, because they're going to be going out in the field talking to different people. When they go out talking to different people, or when they bring people to the opportunity meeting, people can tell if you don't believe in what you're doing. It's not that hard to give away. When someone sees you and they don't see that you have the product, because they will ask. They will ask you, so do you have it? And what are you going to say? No, you got to say, yes, I do. I got it the day I signed up. I got it the first week I signed up, and I'm happy about it. I love it. I'm glad. You should get it too. You need to have that type of confidence in what you're doing. If you don't have it, people see it. Trust me, they see it. So you have to believe in what you do, and you need to make sure that your new recruit gets on board too. Because that's gonna make or break their business. I tell you right from the start, if they don't get the product, or they don't become a customer, or whatever the service is, then it's going to come through and it's going to destroy their business, because they don't believe. Belief is so vital in network marketing. Belief in what you're doing. Now, what you need to do then, once you get them to become a customer, you need to make sure that they understand what it takes to become successful. The first thing you need to do is get them to start recruiting. You need to get into their market. You need to have them develop a list of the people that they know so that you can start getting into their market. That is going to keep them going. Now, I don't know how your company is set up and whether you have an incentivized program to make sure that if people get referrals, they get gifts or something, or they get certain bonuses or whatever, discounts, or however you do it. But that also helps when you're getting referrals from people, to have some type of incentive to help people, to make them want to give referrals. Once you start doing something like that, trust me, they will come when you're least expecting it. Now, what you want to do is make sure that your new recruits, when they put together those lists, you want to help them to call the people and help them to know what to say to people. You don't have to make all the calls for them, but you want to teach them what is necessary to say. The biggest thing that people do is when they get on the phone, when they first start a business, is they say the wrong thing. You don't want to get them saying the wrong thing. One of the easiest things to get people to say when they start out is, hey Joe, this is Barrett. I need your help. I need your help. 4 words. 4 words that can help someone to get their business going. It doesn't matter what service you're dealing with. Let's say that I was selling widgets. Hey Joe, this is Barrett. I need your help. I'm just starting in my new business, but I need your help. I'm trying to learn how to talk to people and feel comfortable about it. I just want to come over maybe and spend about 30 minutes one day this week and just go over how I can present it to you and get your opinion on things. Are you available Monday, or would Wednesday be a good day for you? Now, keep in mind, when I just said that, did I say anything about the widgets? Did I say anything about sales? Did I say anything about a cost to him? No. What I said to Joe was, I need your help. If this is someone that you like and that likes you, if this is a friend or a family member and they think in a good way about you, then they're going to say, okay, I'll help you. But when you start saying stuff like, hey Joe, this is Barrett. Look, I'm starting to sell widgets, and I have to do 5 presentations in order to get credit for it. So I need to come by and do my presentation in front of you and see if you can buy some widgets from me. Joe's not going to want to hear that. He's not going to want to hear that. But Joe would definitely like to hear that you need his help. Because here's the thing about human nature that most people don't know. People love to know that you need them. People love to know you need them. They don't want to know that they need you. Now, when you get there, you may show him this widget, and he may feel, you know what, I need that widget. But that's not going to get you into the house. What's going to get you to his kitchen table is the fact that you need to let him know that you need him. Once they know that, they'll help you. They'll help you by saying, when you say, I need your help. But if you let them know that they need you right off the bat, they're not going to let you do it. They don't want to feel that they need you. People like to think that they're pretty good without you. So just understand that. Now, what we're going to talk about here is the next phase. We just talked about going to the orientation or the opportunity meeting. Now, we're going to talk about the kitchen table. That's where the deal is done. That's where the money's made. Now, that means that you have to capitalize on every kitchen table appointment, because I'll be honest with you, the person that makes the most money in your company is not the one who gets the most yeses at every kitchen table. They're the ones who went through the most no's. The person that goes through the most kitchen table appointments is the one that wins. Keep in mind, it's kind of like the home run king. The person who leads baseball every year in the most home runs, pretty high up there with strikeouts too. But they're always swinging. They're always swinging. So you need to make sure that you're one of those people that's always swinging. Now let's talk about going to the kitchen table. So it's easy, of course, to get to the kitchen table after a person has gone to your opportunity meeting, because you want to make sure that they are customers too. We just covered that. Now, one of the other things you want to do is you want to need to get people that you've prospected or referrals to come to you and get to them as well. Now, here's something that I use when I call people to get into their house. I'll say, you know, hey, Bob, this is Barrett Matthews. I'm with ABC Corporation. Joe told me that he wanted me to come talk to you. Did he tell you I was calling? And of course, I told Joe to call him. So when Joe has called him and let him know that I will be calling, Bob will say, well, yeah, but I don't understand everything that you're doing. That's fine. Because all I wanted Joe to do was to introduce me. Once he said that, I'm good. So now I can tell about, well, what I did is I showed Joe some things that he didn't know or he wanted to know about, and he thought that you should need to hear this too. And he made me wrote down a list of people that he insisted I go see before I left his house. So I just wanted to follow up with you. I wanted to just find out if you have maybe 30 minutes this week. I can just come by real quick and just show you what I showed him, and then I can be out of your way. Is that fair enough? And he'll say, yeah. So then I'll say, okay, would Wednesday or would Friday work better for you? Is 5 o'clock okay or 7 o'clock? Whichever works for him. I want to give him a choice of two, because when you give people a choice, they pick one. And I want them to pick a day that I'm good, a day that I'm open, and a time that I'm open. So once they do that, then we're good. So once I go over there, the first thing I want to do, I want to look around the neighborhood. I want to see what type of neighborhood I'm dealing with, because guess what? Bob may have some neighbors I want to talk to as well. What type of income are we looking at in that neighborhood? What type of families? Are there families with husbands and wives? Are there kids in the neighborhood? Are there pets in the neighborhood? Are there single family homes or townhomes? I want to know all these things when I go into those neighborhoods. So when I go into his house, when Bob lets me in, the first thing I want to do is find something that I can see to give me some commonality. What do I mean by that? What I mean is that I want to see something that I can talk to him about, that I'm pretty knowledgeable about, and I can get him to engage with me. For instance, if I have kids and he has kids, and I see some pictures of his kids or some trophies that his kids are doing judo or something, I want to say, hey, Bob, you got kids involved in martial arts? Oh, man, I've been wanting to get my kids in that too. What do you think of it? I want to get Bob to talk back to me, get him to engage in me. He may talk for 4 minutes about it, but that's good. That means we are now building a rapport, because the rapport builds trust. And when you have trust, That's going to make sure that everything else you say goes smoothly. Now, what you want to do is get him agreeing with you on topics. You don't want to do any conflict. Whatever he says, you can start getting into that conversation and just making it something that he would agree to as well. So once you start that, then you can ease into what you want to talk about. But while you're talking, start setting up, getting yourself set up, if it's your laptop, your flip chart, whatever you need to do to present to him. Now, when you present, there's something that you need to do. You always want to engage. You want to engage your client, and you also want to ask questions. Now, in asking those questions, you want to make sure that Bob is answering questions in the way that you want him to answer. Now, when you engage him, you may say something like, Bob, you see how these people here use this widget, and you see how it helped them? You see how they use this service here, and you see how it helped them? Well, Bob, don't you think if you use this, it could help you too? And see, once you've shown him how it can help him, and you get him engaged, you ask him a question, and we ask what's called tie-down questions. A tie-down question is a question that's going to give you that yes answer, that's going to give you the answer you want. So if I say something like, well, Bob, you definitely would like to earn more income, wouldn't you? Well, what's he going to say to that? Of course he'd like to earn more income. Well, Bob, you can see how protecting your family is a good thing, couldn't you? Of course he's going to say something like that. So the thing is, you want people to answer by asking tie-down questions that engages them but gets the answer that you want to get. So then, the more he subconsciously has himself agreeing with you, when it comes down to your close, he's already in the habit of agreeing with you. So he would be better off saying yes in that situation. So when you get down to it, you want to give your presentation, engage them. When you get to the close, you shouldn't have to ask for the close. You should assume the close. Now, a lot of people, when I say that, they get a little scared. Well, I don't know if I should just assume something. I don't know if I should just take for granted that he's going to say yes. Trust me. If you have built up the rapport, the trust, and you have done a great presentation, not a good presentation, a great presentation, when you get into the position where it comes to asking for the close, and you try assuming it and see what happens. You tell Bob, okay, well, Bob, what I'm going to do now then is I'm going to put together this paperwork, and we're going to get you those widgets over to your house to make sure that your family's taken care of. So let me get your first name here on this. And how do you go by Robert? Is that what you go by? Assume the close. If he's going to say no, he'll say no at that point. If he says no, he's going to give you an objection. Now keep in mind, when you deal with objections, usually the objection they give is not the actual objection. So you may have to probe a little more. But the thing is, what you're going to have to do is make sure when you deal with objections that you get to the root of the problem. Once you can get to the root of the problem, it's easy to solve. So what you can do is ask him, Bob, so you're saying that money is the issue? And Bob will say, yeah. Okay, well, Bob, if I could make this so it's affordable, because I know you want this. You just told me that you want to have this for your family. Isn't that right, Bob? You see another tie-down question. Once he says yes, you say, okay, so Bob, if I could make this affordable to you, is there any reason why we couldn't get this set up for you today and have this in your house next week? Be quiet. At that point, you be quiet. Because if Bob says, well, there's no reason why you can't if we can make it affordable, then you know what you need to do. You need to make it affordable for him. Or, if you cannot adjust your price, you need to show Bob how it's economically in his favor to take that extra money and make sure he gets it right now. But the thing is, these are parts of closing, but you never want to get into asking for the close. If you ask for the close, the answer is going to be no. Because people don't want to be sold anything, but you and I both know someone's always selling, someone's always buying. So you need to make sure that you get to be the seller and not the buyer. Because if you leave without it, you just bought. So remember that. Now, what you want to do then is what's the lifeblood of your business. Referrals. You want to get referrals. If you don't get referrals, you are slowly dying in your business. You have to get referrals. Referrals are going to keep you going day in, day out. They will always give you some place to go, always give you someone to call. How do you get referrals? This is something you ask for. You ask for referrals. A lot of people, a lot of representatives are scared to ask for referrals because they're afraid the person was going to say no. Well, see, if you're afraid, you may have to question your belief in what you're doing. If you believe you're offering something great, a great service, a great product to them, why wouldn't they want to refer people to you? But the key, that one thing that people mistake and they mess up on is at the beginning of your presentation, you need to let them know that you're going to ask for referrals. One of the things you can say to them is at the beginning, before you get started, say, well, you know what, Bob, before I get started, I want to tell you that, I'm going to show you some things that you probably didn't know. I'm going to offer you something that you may not even have had before, may not even have heard of before. All I ask, Bob, is that if you learn something and you think this is beneficial, that you refer other people to me, that you can use the same information, or just whether they want to do anything or not, I just want to make sure they get the information. Is that fair enough, Bob? When you ask that question, is that fair enough? They usually are going to say yes. So at the end, you may ask them, so Bob, did you think this was real beneficial? Did you think that this information was something good when you referred to me? And they'll say, well, yeah. I'll say, great. What I want you to do, fill out this information right here with your name and your number and so forth. And what I wanted you to do is also write down the names and numbers of some people who could also get this information, because I want to make sure I get it to them. Now, if you notice, I gave him a sheet of paper and told him to write down his information first. Then I told him to write down the names of some other people. I didn't ask them, well, Bob, can you think of some names of some people that you could send me to? No, I didn't ask him for it. I told him what I wanted to do. Because here's something else that you may not know about human nature. People like to be told what to do. Most of you came out from a corporate background where people told you what to do. Most people aren't used to being entrepreneurs. So that's why people are being told what to do, and they're used to it. Most people like Bob go to work every day where someone tells them what to do. You came into his house, you showed him something. If you ask him what he wants, he gets to tell you what he doesn't want. If you tell him what you need him to do, he's more likely to do it because he's giving you control when you came into the house. So you have to take that control and use it to your advantage by saying, Bob, I want you to write down your information here, and then write down the name of some people who I can talk to and give this same information to. When you do that, you have a good chance of getting referrals. Now also, as I go back before, you need to give someone an incentive sometimes. You may say, hey, Bob, you write down some names of people, and you pick out a gift here in this catalog that I have for you. Or I'm going to give you this gift certificate just for giving me referrals. You may say something like that to them, and that way you can get more referrals from them as well, because people like to get free gifts. So you may want to think of that as well. So once you get the referrals, it's incumbent upon you to follow up. The first person you need to follow up with is Bob, and find out if Bob called the referrals. Now, you may want to coach Bob before calling them to tell Bob not to ask, is it okay if you call? You don't want to ask that. You want to tell Bob to tell them, I gave your number to a friend, and he's going to give you a call, and he's going to tell you about some things that you need to hear about. That's it. And then when you call, then you can fill them in on the other details of it. Because as long as you do that, you will constantly keep things going. And the key is referrals. You want to keep asking for referrals from every client you go to. You do that, you'll be on your way to success. Well, that concludes this session, guys, and we'll see you at the top.